We're very lucky in North Tyneside. We have 3 metro stations right on the coast. So Tynemouth Station, Cullercoat Station and Whitley Bay are key to bringing people to our seaside destinations.
Tynemouth Station is part and parcel of the community. I've always looked at it as being a great asset for the community and a good community centre.
It's one of the few remaining Victorian railway stations, and people forget how important the railways were. It was the first form of mass transport.
From Tynemouth Station to the monument, the times you had and all the days you spent. From Central Station round to Percy, arriving and departing on a metro train. Who are you going off to see?
Well, I'm beginning to call it the Crystal Palace of the North East. And of course, Tynemouth Station was famous for its plants. And those photographs are the ones that helped to inspire me to start campaigning for the station all those years ago.
It is terrible to see something like that, an old Victorian building sort of going, sort of to wreck and ruin really. As I say, about 10 years ago when they did restore half of the station, then they stopped, I think, due to funding.
It was crumbling. I mean, it was really falling apart, and some of the areas right at the very edges of the station, they virtually weren't there at all. So it's not even as if it wasn't a state of decay. It had gone.
Parts of it really quite dire and ready to fall down. The parts that have been exposed to the elements for years and years, are in quite a serious state. A lot of the fixings are just wasting away to nothing, and it's all quite dangerous really. It's ready to be restored. The central areas aren't bad. Where it was worked on a few years ago and it's been covered in, then it's not suffered quite so badly. It was quite a busy building for only a short time, but equally it'd be a shame to let it go. It can be adapted and changed and preserved and have a function in modern day. It's quite a busy place on weekends and whatever else. So yeah, we were quite excited by it in a very Anaraki sort of a way.
And I found this picture a little bit further on, which shows the bridge. So it's listed because of its architectural significance, and ending up on the at-risk register and being one of the top buildings on that register in the whole of the country really focused the mind that we had to do something with this station before it had gone beyond repair. And that was, again, played a significant part in the sea change bid. Some of the roof structure and
the sea change bid, which was £2 million we secured from national government, had 2 elements to it. One was to restore the station, so the actual restoration of the physical building was a key part of that. But the other condition of that bid was for us to have arts and cultural activities in the restored station.
Well, the theme of the whole project is a journey to anywhere in the world can begin at Tynemouth Station. And we have 2 murals. On the far side, it has an international theme about journeys around the world that you can make from this station. And on this side, it's the local area and local journeys.
I mean, to be honest, it's just a fantastic space to show work of this scale, which is what we do.
Well, I think having a living piece of work where they can actually see the work going on, and the fact that the local element of it is very important as well. I think that really has drawn people in and made them interested in what's going on in the station.
You have ever been, gazing at the faces you have never seen. Why do you go so quickly everywhere? got any thoughts about Tynemouth Station?
Yeah, it's very nice, isn't it?
You like this place, do you?
I do, aye.
Have you got any special memories that you care to share about
I used to sell my poultry here.
You did the what?
I used to sell my poultry here until the police stopped us from selling it.
And people never say anything, do they? And you sort of fall in love on that little bit of, 5 minutes.
I wouldn't say fall in love,
Until your metro goes, and all the history and the Victorian architecture should be kept, and it's a beautiful place, King Eddie's Castle.
By having that sense of exchange, you're actually almost like adding to and drawing from all the different richness of what this architecture brings, but also you're giving a very ordinary thing of, we'll sing you a little song, tell us a story, and it just, I hope, our aim was really for people to go home thinking, oh, that was a bit different today.
The restoration work involves really taking it down, but keeping as much as we possibly can and conserve as much as we can of the original fabric, but just strengthen it up. We'll replace some of the fixings with more appropriate strength fixings and bits and bobs, but materials used as far as is humanly possible will be appropriate to the era and to the building.
But like most things when you're dealing with an old building, until you start taking it apart, you don't know what you're dealing with. They found there were a number of the columns at both ends of the station which, as they took the roof structure off, they were literally held together by about an inch of column. The rest of it had just rotted away. When they actually started taking down all the roof trusses and everything, they discovered that a lot of the ironwork needed to go away. It couldn't be repaired on site, so it had to go off down to Telford and be repaired. A lot of things had to be recast as well. So it's a huge job.
Now that we've set up all the tables, all the folks are going to come in for their stalls. Pretty much set up. We'll walk about. If anybody needs any help, we'll help them out. I'm really looking forward to it being done. I'm looking forward to it, seeing it as it once was.
It's nice to see now that some work getting done, and I think everybody's looking forward to actually the whole thing being completed. Nice environment. It's very good. It's a nice place to work, and it's got the biggest advantage, obviously, that you've got a covered-in centre as well. So even in the bad weather, you can trade.
Just enjoy it in general because it's kind of like my own little shop, it's sort of like it's not, but it is. And I just enjoy the people, the customers, just everything. It's just a really good vibe. It's going to look really good when it's done, and I think it's going to be a really good market. It's going to just really improve it, I think, that's all.
It's unusual having something like this, in a station. You wouldn't think, if you weren't living here, you wouldn't think of this being here. But it's nice, it's different. I like it.
Cast iron is porous, and it is naturally porous in the way it's made, but this being a coastal site, then salt does impregnate into the cast. One of the major advantages of using a water cleaning system is that it blasts out a lot of the salts that are in the surface that can get out. You then use special paints, such as they've used on the Forth Bridge, that then gets a coat on quite quickly, so that the water comes through it as it cures, and then you go on it with conventional paint.
Tynemouth Station during the daytime is great for a rehearsal. It's nice. There's big open areas so that we can get a quiet space. We're not in a throughway. Tynemouth Station's got loads of opportunities for performing in, for practicing in, for gatherings for everybody.
It's been a long, hard slog, and we've all got frustrated about it and wondered what was going to happen. And I think personally that some developers would have walked away from it, but they must have got absolutely fed up with what was happening. and they stuck with it. We managed to get sea change funding, which opened the doors. It was a wonderful sea change, because without that, I don't think we'd be here by now. It really opened the doors.
The paint used nowadays is much more superior to what was in the old days. The old paint, of course, was lead-based. Hence the fact that we have to be very careful to have got rid of it because of health problems. Now this paint, in fact, should last for a long, long time, a lot more longer period than originally.
Basically, the station, it looked pretty derelict, really, in vast need of repair. But as you can see now, with all the different contractors, the roof works are looking, really nice, and obviously in with the aesthetics of the surroundings. Each piece of glass has to be designed, and basically there's 4,000 pieces of glass on this job, so there's 4,000 pieces of glass to be detailed and designed by our drawing office.
The station itself is just a huge backdrop for us to be able to do a lot of things in terms of cultural activity, events, festivals, and also for business development on the station.
Well, today has been the celebration and a launch for the Tynemouth Station murals that Dave and I have been working on for the past few months. So we invited all the children here today and all their families and friends, teachers, to see what we've made of all their designs and drawings.
The images themselves are like standalone or knockout. I mean, obviously I have my favourites, but I can't discuss that obviously. But some of the painting, some of the drawing is astonishing, and I think what's happened is people, grown-ups and adults, recognise that there's something in the children's work itself.
The glazing people won't be able to see, but in fact we have toughened and we have laminated. We have in fact the two types of glass to be able to cover, for safety reasons, anybody going up onto the roof to actually clean, so that if in fact they unbalance, they actually will in fact fall against a glazing which will not break. And those are the sort of things that are unseen but very important indeed.
They're basically bespoke because of the shape of the station. It's on a curve, so the actual structure curves with it, making most pieces of glass actually shaped like parallelograms. So that's why you may have seen when we were installing them actually having to turn the glass around because they only fit one way.
Financially, the project has come in on budget. It's come in on time. We got the restoration done when we wanted it to be done. It's now successfully functioning as an events venue.
It's still a functioning station, but it only has 2 running platforms for the metro. But it's a beautiful building, beautiful piece of Victorian architecture, and the piece of music reflects the structure and all the hard work that's gone to bring it back to its former glory. As well as a functional building, it's also a monument to the skill of the craftsmen who built in 1882, and it's still there, like the high-level bridge. It's going to be there forever, I think.
It's returned the station to the way it was as far as we can from when it was originally built, but it's given us a space that can be used for cultural events. We could have music, there could be film. It's a really good space for people to use.
And I hope that the spaces under the canopy will attract artists. I think they have already. We have had one or two artworks on the concourse. But it's just wonderful to walk around it. I mean, I haven't actually walked in the spaces yet, so that's going to be very, very exciting.
I think a lot of people like it. I think probably a lot of people, because a lot of it was closed off, had no idea of the actual scale of this station, and now it's all open. You walk across the bridge and it's like, wow, it's huge. It's a fabulous space.
It's a culmination of a dream, I would say, because I have to say that there have been moments when, even having worked on it professionally over a long period of time, I didn't honestly think it would actually get done. And I'll be very proud to actually see it finished. It is even better than I thought it would be.
I would like to see a station that's used and appreciated, and maybe it's got a bit of dust on it but no rust.